ॐ सदाशिवसमारम्भाम् शङ्कराचार्यमध्यमाम् अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्ताम्
वन्दे
गुरुपरम्पराम्
परम्पराम्।
ॐ सहना भवतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं कर्वावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै।
विद्विषावहै। ॐ
शान्ति
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 शान्ति।
शान्ति।
हरि ओम्.
Om.
Okay, so we had completed up to verse number 58 in the last class. So today we will look at verse number 59, Bhagavad Gita, 18th chapter. Shri Bhagavan
श्रीभगवानुवाच
Yadahankaramashritya
यदहङ्कारमाश्रित्य
Yadahankaramashritya
Na yotsya iti manyase
na yotsya iti manyase
मन्यते
Mityeisha Vyavasayaste
मिथ्यैष
yesha
व्यवसायस्ते
vyavasayaste
Prakritistvam niyokshati
प्रकृतिस्त्वां
prakriti tvam
नियोक्ष्यति।
niyoksyati.
Yadi manyase, if you think, and why are you thinking in this manner? Ahankaram ashritya. Because of having, been overcome by your ahankara. Ashritya literally meaning having taken refuge in your ahankara. And what will you think? Na yotsya yati. I will not fight. If you think that you will not fight because you have been overpowered by your ahankara, then eshaha te vyavasayaha. Vyavasayaha is a decision. Te is you. Eshaha is such a decision of yours. Esha vyavasayaha, such a decision of yours, mithya, will be futile because tvam prakriti niyokshati. Tvam prakriti niyokshati. Your own nature, tvam prakriti niyokshyati, will compel you to fight. Very, very nice words, right? So, Shankara, of course, gives a few clarifications which are not necessary, but anyway, since Shankara gives na yotse iti, Shankara says is equal to na yuddham karishyami iti. I will not fight. And Manya says, Shankara says is nischayam karoshi. You have decided. Right. So this resolve of yours, the decision of yours is in vain because your rajasic nature will not allow you to remain quiet. And Shankara, of course, says Prakriti, he means Kshatriya Swabhavaha. Your Swabhava as a Kshatriya, which is Rajas predominant, will not let you keep quiet. So, what is Krishna conveying? That Arjuna, your decision not to fight is not in accordance with your Swabhava. What is the Swabhava here? The Rajasic predominance in your nature. Okay. And now you have to ask here, when did Arjuna take this decision? Because Krishna is saying that you already decided. Krishna is telling him that your decision is going to be in vain. So you have to ask, when did Arjuna take this decision? When did he say, I will not fight? I will request once again, if people are having guests in the house, please mute yourself. So when was this decision taken?
Chapter 1.
Back in chapter 1.
Where did he say I would fight?
When he saw all his relatives standing in the battlefield.
You have to quote. Yotse iti govindam uktva tushneem babuvaha. I will not fight. Is not right. Which chapter was that? Start at chapter 1. Evam muktva rishikesham prakeshah parantapa na yotsa iti govindam uktva tushnim babuvaha. Anyway, you can go back and look at all that.
Chapter 2.
Chapter 2, verse 9. And Krishna already talked about this in chapter 1 when he said, hey Arjuna, people will use harsh words. They will say that you ran away from the battle. They will laugh at you and you will not be able to bear all these insults. So here, in this, Shankara says, if you think you are independent, Krishna is saying, if you think you are independent, then you are wrong. And Krishna is actually saying that no jiva is really independent because even the jnani has to ultimately go by his nature. And he said this all very, very long ago, where you should be at the tip of a tongue. We have been studying for so many years. Sadrisham
Chapter
cheshtate swasyaha prakritirjnanavanapi prakritim yanti bhutani vigrahakyam karishyati.
Chapter 3.
All this you should remember, chapter 3.
Hmm.
Okay, so that's the background. And Krishna continues. So we will look at verse number 60. Verse number 60. स्वभावजेन कौन्तेय
Svabhavajena
निबद्धस्वेन कर्मणा
Nibaddhasvena
कर्तुं नेच्छसि यन्मोहात्
Nechasiyanmohat
करिष्यस्य वशोऽपि तत्
Karishyasya vashopitat
हे कौन्तेय, हे अर्जुन, Svena karmana nibaddha. Nibaddha is bound. Svena karmana, your own duty. Bound by your own duty. And how come you have this duty? Swabhava jena, which is born out of your own nature, out of your own swabhavam. Api avashya avashaha karishyasi. Api karishyasi, you will do avashaha, helplessly. You will be helplessly forced to do tat yat na ichhasi kartum. That which you think you do not want to do. And why is that thought coming to you? Mohat. Because of delusion. Okay. So Svena. Svena, Shankara says, Atmiyena karmana. Everybody is bound by his own type of karma. And this karma is, of course, determined by your nature. Nature means what? The guna mix, which is predominant. Swabhava jena. Whether it is rajas predominant or whether it is tamas predominant or whether it is sattva predominant. This is the nature. And svena means by that nature your karma will be decided. And swabhava jena, Shankara says, shauryadina yathoktena kaunteya. By the swabhava, as stated before. Right? So Krishna has given a long discussion on the different types of swabhava and the karma associated with it in the earlier verses. Where was that? Shaurya, etc. Where was that? Not very, very long ago.
17 chapters.
No, it's not all that long ago. Shauryam,
Gunatraya
Tejo,
Vibhaga. Gunatraya, 16 chapters. Gunatraya Vibhaga.
not even that far off. Shauryam, Tejo, Dhritardakshyam, Yuddhe Chapapalayanam, Dhanamishvara Bhavascha, Kshatram Karma Swabhavajam.
This chapter.
This chapter, 43rd verse. Okay. So Krishna has said Shauryam. That's what Shankara refers to here. Swabhava Jena means Shauryam. Shauryam means that courage, that eagerness to fight. That is where in the Kshatriya. And Nibaddha. Nibaddha, Shankara says, Nishchayena Baddha, firmly bound by. Hey Kaunteya, hey Arjuna, you are firmly bound by that duty. And will this Swabhava, that character, go away? Krishna says no, not even after Jnanam. Even Jnanis have got their own Swabhava. Even though they know, even though as a Jnani I know that I am Nirguna Atma, but I am resident in a body. And as long as I possess a body, that body has a particular guna mix. As long as the body has a guna mix, the body has a particular swabhava. And that body, that swabhava, will decide what the jnani does even after jnana. So that's why you find there are some jnanis who are completely withdrawn. So they will be sitting in Gangotri or Tapovan or somebody like that. There are other jnanis who are very, very active, like Swami Shivananda, right? Traveling the world, engaged in pravritti all the time. What decides the difference? Sabhava only. And Krishna says mohat. Mohat means because of the non-discrimination, because of the avivekaha, you are trying to avoid what you can never avoid. Ignoring your own nature is delusion. So that's why mohat, delusion. Because of that delusion, because of that effort of yours to avoid what cannot be avoided, therefore, karmana kartum na ichhasi, that karma, that fight, the battle, which you do not want to do, which you do not want to engage in, tat karmaha karishyasi avashopi. Avashopi. Helplessly you will find, avasaha, helplessly you will find that you are forced into that battle. So Shankara gives a very nice definition of avashaha. He says, paravashaha eva, helplessly driven by your own nature. That karma you cannot avoid, that battle you cannot avoid. And if you try to escape from that, it is delusion only. Arjuna, you are a Rajasika person, you are a Kshatriya. Your own nature will push you into that battle. Right? So a Rajasika person is always busy. Brahmacharya ashram, Grihastha ashram, Manapastra ashram, Sannyasa ashram, whichever ashram you are in. If you are Rajasic, you will always be engaged in activity. So accept your Swabhava and take to a lifestyle in harmony with your Swabhava. Then there will be no conflict. Therefore, he's saying choose your karma, keeping in mind two things, and that's very important. When we say take to an activity in accordance with the Swabhava, you must remember that every activity has to be governed finally by Dharma. Right? And therefore, when choosing our own lifestyle, our job, our activity, we have to keep two things in mind, Dharma and Swabhava. If I take only Dharma into account and ignore my Swabhava, I will fail miserably. Right? If I take Swabhava into account and ignore Dharma, I will be adharmic. So both are not acceptable. So he's giving guidelines on how we should choose our daily duties, our jobs, for example, our professions, for example. Okay. We go to verse number 61, a very, very beautiful verse. Ishvara sarvabhutanam
Ishvara
सर्वभूतानां
Hriddesherjuna tishtati
हृद्देशेऽर्जुन तिष्ठति
Brahmayan sarvabhutani
भ्राम्यन्
Brahmayan
सर्वभूतानि
sarvabhutani
Yantrarudhani mayaya
यन्त्रारूढानि मायया
Maya.
So hey Arjuna, Ishvaraha tishtati. The Lord is found, He resides, Sarva Bhutanam Hriddeshehe, in the hearts of all living beings, all beings. And Sarva Bhutani Brahmayan. So Brahmayan means to cause to revolve, to cause to move. That Lord who is residing in your heart causes all the beings to move. How? Ayaya, through his own Maya. And he gives an example. Yantra Rudhani, as though mounted on a machine. So that refers to a doll. We'll come to that. So this verse, you must remember, is talking about Ishvara as the one who handles your prarabdha. So that is Antaryami Ishvara. Right? Antaryami Ishvara as the handler of Prarabdha. And when I say that the Lord is there in me, remember, I am not talking about Vishwa Ajasa. I am talking about Prajna. Prajna is the Vyashti equivalent of Antaryami. Where is in Samashti? Where did we see this? Where did we see that Prajna in Vyashti is the equivalent of Samashti Antaryami?
Tattvabodha.
Tattvabodha. So you must never forget. You're talking about Samashti. When you say that Prajna is the one who is in me, then I'm saying that it is the Antaryami Samashti Ishvara who is the handling my Prarabdha. So Prajna is the Antaryami in me. And Ishvara here means Ishana Shilaha. Ishana Shilaha means the one who is the master of the universe, the one who is governor of the universe. And that is why Narayana. Narayana means Nara Ayanam. Ayanam means the residence. Nara is the human being. Narayana, residence of the human being. Right? So Narayana is where all human beings reside. Ultimately, therefore, Ishvara means Narayana means Antaryami. And in the Vyashti sense, it is Prajna. So that Samashti Ishvara, he is found in me, and when he is found in me, I give him a different name, Prajna. Right? Remember, at the Karanam level, at the causal level, right? There is no differentiation between micro and macro. At the causal level, one cannot talk about Vyashti and Samashti. And that is why at the Prajna level, when you say Prajna, you really are not saying there is an individual Prajna. There is no difference at the Prajna level with the Antaryami. Because at the Karanam level, at the causal level, there is no Vyashti, there is no Samashti. Both are the same. That's why you'll find Shankara in all his commentaries. He doesn't distinguish between Vyashti and Samashti at the Karanam level. Right? The Vyashti Karana Shariram and the Samashti Karana Shariram, he does not distinguish. And the Ishvara's tool of control at both these levels, at both Vyashti and Samashti, is what? Is the law of karma. This we must understand. Ishvara controls the individual also, the prarabdha of the individual also, through the law of karma. He controls the universal prarabdha also through the law of karma. In the sense, the karma at the samashti level, aggregated karma of all the beings that decides the course of the samashti. Okay, the next word is hridde. Hriddeshe. Hriddeshe is hridaya deshe. You have to break it nicely. Hridaya deshe, in the location of the heart. Tishtati means he stays, he resides. So Ishvara, Hriddeshe Tishtati. Ishvara resides in the heart. The heart is the golakam for the mind. Right? Hridayam is the golakam for the mind. And therefore we say that since Ishvara resides in the golakam, the mind, the body is a temple. Why? It is the Jivatma who resides in the mind. But the Jivatma and the Paramatma are the same. Therefore, it is, when you say Prajna resides in the mind, you are saying Samashti Antaryami resides in the mind. And that is why body is the temple, because wherever Ishvara resides, that is the temple. And Hriddeshe Sarvabhutana. So, Shankara thinks, maybe we will say Sarva, all human beings. So he says Sarvabhutana means Sarva Pranina. He resides in the heart of everybody, whether it be a jnani, whether it be a ajnani, whether it be a cat, a goat, elephant, spider, scorpion, tiger, lion, elephant. Ishvara is there in the heart of all the living beings, even there in the plant, even there in bacteria. In what form? Sakshi Chaitanyam, in the form of the witness consciousness. And when you say witness consciousness, remember that Sakshi witnesses the presence of your thoughts. And when thoughts are absent in Sushupti Avastha, the Sakshi also witnesses the absence of those thoughts. The statement has to be complete. Sakshi of vritti bhavaha and vritti abhava. Thoughts present and thoughts absent. And then a question can come. What does he do staying in that heart? Does he just witness? Because that is what the word says, Sakshi, witness. Or does he actually influence what the jiva does? So Krishna says here, no, I am called a witness because I am not involved. But in my presence, all activity takes place. So Brahmayan. Brahmayan means revolving. Now, that yantra rudhani. So the yantra means the instrument. And we are talking about a very old, I don't know if any of y'all have seen it. I have. In the old days, there used to be the doll show, you people would on a platform that we also have dolls. And those dolls are all tied onto a wheel. And when the wheel is rotated, the dolls seem to dance. So that is what is mentioned here in Yantra Rudhani. The dolls which are tied to the wheel, and when the wheel is rotated, the dolls they seem to dance. Okay, somebody's mic is on. I'm closing all of you because it is disturbing the. Okay. Now, so here is a difference between human beings and living beings, right? Both have prarabdha. Human beings and living beings, both have got prarabdha. Now, it is the prajna ishvara, not different from samashti antaryami, who handles the prarabdha. So while both have prarabdha, both human beings and non-human living beings have prarabdha, what is the difference?
Free will.
The
Free will.
switcha.
Free will. So
Swechha.
Swecha, free will is there only in the human beings. And therefore remember that this statement that Prajna Ishvara, in other words, Samashti Antaryami, handles Prarabdha, has to be very clear, handles Prarabdha karma. But in human beings, Agami karma is handled because of free will. And therefore, it is Vishwa and Tajasa, a mixture, who handle free will. Who handle free will and therefore who handle agami karma. Right? So in human beings, Ishvara handles prarabdha, Jiva handles agami. In other beings, Ishvara handles both, prarabdha and agami. Because agami is literally not there. There's no use of free will. So where is the question of agami at all? Agami arises only when free will is exercised. So essentially, it's a very nice idea being brought out that a human life is actually a mixture of two things. Ishvara's control and Jiva's control. Ishvara is handling Prarabdha. Jiva is handling Agami. And that's why he says Brahmayan. Brahmayan means Brahmanam Karyan. Brahman Karyan means activating, enlivening. So all the Panchama Mahabhuta which are inner is given life. And Brahmanam really means, correctly means rotate. Yantra Arudhani, like the dolls which are mounted on the wheel. And Shankara adds here Eva. Eva is to avoid attributing karma to Ishvara. Right? Yantra Rudhani is mentioned here, but Shankara says Eva also. As if means what? To avoid attributing karma to Ishvara. Why? Because remember the concept of Samanya Karanam and Vishesha Karanam. So Ishvara is the general cause. General cause means what? The cause which enables us to do karma. Vishesha Karanam is what? Specifically doing the karma. So we alone are responsible for the karma and therefore karma phalam. And how does all this happen? Maya, because of Maya Shakti. And Shankara, of course, explains very carefully the whole story. So he says, just as the wooden dolls are mounted on a wheel, so that puppet show, it is basically a puppet show. The puppet is called Yantra Purushaha, the one who is mounted on a wheel. So as the wheel rotates, the doll begins to move. And therefore, you should always remember that while I am definitely a contributor to my life, I am not the controller. As a jiva, I am a contributor, but I am definitely not the controller. Though life is a joint venture between me and Ishvara, because Ishvara controls Prarabdha, I contribute to Agami. Right? So this is the meaning of the verse. And Shankara suddenly remembers here that he has not given us the meaning of Arjuna so far. Right? So Shankara gives the meaning of Arjuna. So since it's a very nice little phrase, I will tell you what exactly he writes. He writes Shuklantara Ratma Swabhavaha, which means Vishuddha Antakarana Miti. Shukla is white, right? So here that white is taken as clean, Swachha, the one with the pure mind. And why does Shankara feel the need here to say that Arjuna is the one with the pure mind, Vishuddha Antakarana Miti? Because if you look at the Sanskrit dictionary, Arjuna is the name of a tree, right? Arjuna is the name of one species of tree. And Shankara wants to say that this is not the derivation of the word Arjuna. The word Arjuna has to be taken as Shuklaha, right? So, and the reason here is for those who are familiar with the Rig Veda, there is a mantra in the Rig Veda. So, Ahascha Krishnam, Arjunam Cha. A day can be of two types. It can be dark or it can be clear. And Ahascha Krishnam means the day is dark and gloomy. And Ahaha Arjunam means day is clear. And therefore, Ahaha Arjunam, where Arjuna should be taken as clear white, meaning clean, Adisvachaha. Therefore, Arjuna has a mind like the clear sky. This is the only place where you actually get the meaning of Arjuna. Arjuna meaning is not given anywhere else. That's why I mentioned it.
Acharyaji, may I ask a question?
Yes, please.
I think you just said that I heard that Vishwa and Tejasa handle Agami because of Swechha. So how does Tejasa, what is the role of Tejasa in
a dream, do you take decisions?
As a dreamer, yes.
As a dreamer. So that is, remember that dream is a product of karma only. Because in the dream, the dreamer does get pleasure, does get pain. And therefore that swechha is there. The dreamer's free will is there. The dreamer takes decisions. The dreamer goes through pain and pleasure. The dreamer exhausts part of your prarabdha.
But how, okay, so the Agami is also.
That is agami only. Yeah? You're taking decisions.
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
Yes, thank you.
Om sir, this verse is again duality.
Beg your pardon?
This verse is again duality, expressing duality only, no? Ishvara Sarva Bhutanam Hrideshe, that.
Of course, of course.
Yeah. No, I was just thinking Jnana Yoga, Karma Yoga, we are getting it in different
Jnana
verses.
yoga, karma yoga you will get. But in all throughout jnanam, if there is no duality, there will be no jnanam.
Yeah, true. But this verse is about duality, that Ishvara is somebody different from me who is residing in my heart.
Yes. That you have to understand.
Yeah.
Now we look at the next verse, 62. Tvameva sharanam gaccha.
Tameva sharanam
Sarva bhavena bharata.
Sarvabhavena Bharata.
Tat prasadat param shantim.
Prasadaat Param Shantim.
Anam prapyasi ashashvatam.
Sthanam prapyati
Shashvatam.
Hey Bharata, O one belonging to the Bharata race, O Arjuna, Tameva Sharanam Gacha. So tam is not tum. Okay, what is tam? Don't make the mistake of thinking that tam is tum. Tum is you. Tam is that or him. Saranam gaccha tameva. Surrender to him alone. And how should you surrender? Sarva bhavena. With all your being, wholeheartedly. And then what will happen? Tat prasadat. By his grace, by Ishvara's grace, apsyasi, you will attain param shantim, supreme peace, shashvatam sthanam, the eternal destination, the eternal abode. Right? We are on karma yoga very much. Right? Karma yogi does not have jnanam. And since he does not have jnanam, he cannot draw strength from that jnanam. And the person who does not have jnanam and cannot draw strength from jnanam, but he's a karma yogi, therefore he draws strength from Ishvara. And this is a very, very important verse in this discussion on Karma Yoga. It says Tameva, that Ishwaram Eva. Tam means that Ishwara. Tameva, that Ishwara only. Sharanam should be a refuge. For what purpose? Shankara adds Samsara Arti Haranartham. For removing the troubles of samsara. And what should you do? To that Ishwaram Gacha. Gacha means go and take refuge. And how should you take refuge? Sarva Bhavena. Sarva Bhavena means with your entire being. And so Arjuna, Saranam Gachatameva, surrender to that Ishvara alone. And since the Lord is there in your heart, which you said in the last verse, offer all the karmas, all your actions to that Lord as Ishvara Arapanam. That Lord alone will give Chitta Shuddhi. That karma will produce spiritual punyam, because of which you are coming to the Gita class regularly. It's because of that punyam alone. So may you take refuge in that Lord, in that Ishvara, who is there in your heart, by offering him all that karma. Tameva, that Lord described as being in your heart in the previous sloka. And Sarva Bhavena, wholeheartedly. So this has to be Kayena Vacha Manasa Indriyava. Full commitment. That surrender has to be full commitment. Right? Not just for 8 o'clock to 9 o'clock on Sunday mornings. And Tat Prasadat, Shankara writes, Ishvara Anugrahat. With the grace of the Lord, which means the Lord will take your hand and take you step by step. So Karma Yoga, Upasana Yoga, Viveka, Vairagyam, Samadhi Shatka Sampattihi, Shravanam, Mananam, everything will come because Lord will take you. Right? Once you get Jnana Yogyata, the Lord will open up the Shastram to you. The opportunity for Shravanam, Maranam, Nididhyasanam will be there. Therefore, surrender to the Lord and enjoy this journey of life. Shashvatam Sthanam Prapsasi. Moksha you will definitely get. Param Shantim, highest peace you will definitely get. Right? And Sthanam means attain the highest state of Brahman. Shashvatam Nityam, which is the eternal Brahman. This, remember, is talking about Videha Mukti. Right? Because you will get knowledge, you will become Jivan Muktaha, the body falls, you will be the eternal Brahman alone, without the Upadhi. Therefore, Shashvatam Nityam means Videha Mukti. And how is that all going to take place? First of all, the entire journey you have to understand. Karma Yoga, Upasana Yoga, Shravana, Manana, Nididhyasanam, Jnananishtha. With this, the journey takes place. And here, in this verse, there are two words, Param Shantim and Shashvatam Sthanam. So we have to understand them carefully. Param Shantim is related to the mind, peace in the mind. So who is very peaceful in the mind? The Jnani. And therefore Param Shantim means Jivan Mukti. Shashvatam Sthanam means Brahma Sthanam. Idea that I am Brahman only. So that is the idea that I do not need Jivan Mukti. I am Nitya Muktaha. So basically it is Videha Mukti. So both stages are being mentioned over here. Jivan Mukti and Videha Mukti, both stages have been mentioned. So all this was basically Karma Yoga summary, right? We started in verse number 56, and in this verse we have ended that summary, which is why duality was there. It's all triangular format only, right? Triangular format. The advantage is that you have Ishvara to support you. But as long as you are holding on to Ishvara, you are Jiva. And therefore, samsara is a given. You can hold on to Jiva, to Ishvara. You can learn to manage samsara, but you cannot be free of samsara as long as you are in the triangular format. The final solution is only binary format. Okay. Now comes verse number 63, which you will chant. इति ते ज्ञानमाख्यातम्
इति ते ज्ञानमाख्यातम्
गुह्यात् गुह्यतरं मया
गुह्यात्
गुह्यतरं मया
विमृशैतदशेषेण
विमृश्यैतदशेषेण
यथेच्छसि तथा कुरु.
यथेच्छसि तथा कुरु.
So Krishna is winding up. So he says, iti jnanam, in this manner, this knowledge, which is guhyataram guhyat, more secret than all secrets, te maya akyatam, has been told to you by me. What should you do? Etat vimashya. Vimashya means analyze, think about it, contemplate upon it. Etat vimashya. Etat means that jnanam which is more secret than any other secret, which I have told to you. That jnanam you should analyze. And how should you analyze? Asheshena, completely, from start to finish. Once you have done all that, yatha ichhasi tatha kuru. Tatha kuru. You should do as you think is right. Okay. So it's very, very important verse. Iti. Iti means etat. Etat means the entire teaching from the 11th verse of the second chapter up to the 62nd verse of the 18th chapter. Right? Etat, the entire teaching. Te means to you, my disciple Arjuna. Jnanam means Gita Shastra, Brahma Vidya. Akshyatam means Kathitam. I have told you. Guhyat means more than any other secret. Guhyataram means the most secret. Maya means by me, Sarvagya Ishvara. I, Sarvagya Ishvara, have given you this knowledge which is more secret than any other secret. And then, what should you do? Vimrishya. So, Vimrishya is Vimarshanam Alochanam Kritva. That is Shankara's expansion. Having contemplated through thorough analysis and having analyzed it, having arrived at the pros and cons and assimilated that, etat. Etat means yathoktam shastram. This shastram, which the knowledge which appears between the 11th verse of the second chapter and the 62nd verse of the 18th chapter. What should you do? Asheshena. Asheshena means you should be analyzing all my words. Every single word you have to analyze and analyze the words as well as the sentences. So the pada as well as the padartham you should analyze. Right? The pramanam plus the pramayam. The words plus the object of the words. You must know both. And after doing all that, what should you do? Yatha ichhasi tatha. Do exactly what you think is right. So here the Gita teaching is being concluded in the next four verses, 63, 64, 65, 66. Right? And remember that so far, what have we done in the 18th chapter? Karma Yoga has been summarized 3 times. So Karma, Sattvika, Sannyasa, we started the 18th chapter. Then Karma Yoga was summarized a second time from verse number 41 to 49. And again from the third time from 56 to 62. So this was the Karma Yoga being summarized. The Jnana Yoga he has summarized twice earlier. What is that? 13th verse to 17th verse. and again from 50th verse to 55th verse. So this 18th chapter is basically summarizing. And here again, he is summarizing all the summaries, a further refinement of all the summaries. So iti jnana means all the teaching from the 11th verse of the second chapter till this last verse. And it's very, very secret. So Guhyam means not available through normal Praman, right? And it is most secret because it can be understood only by those who are eligible. So that's a very important point about most secret. It is available to all, but it will be understood by only those who have the eligibility to understand. The jnana yogyata, if you have, then only you will understand. The fact that Atma is Brahman is explained only by Shastra. And therefore, unless you come to Shastra, the fact that you, Atma, are Brahman, will never be understood. And if even to understand this, Jnana Yogyata is a must. Otherwise, you can listen to Shastra from the most competent teacher. You can listen to Shastra from Lord Krishna himself, and you will still not understand. Thus, it is made available, and it is still a secret. It's a very, very nice idea. And therefore, remember that only if you choose, then Shastra will choose you. If you choose Shastra, then Shastra will choose you. It has to be a two-way relationship. And remember that earlier on in chapter 3, Arjuna said, Tadekam vadanishchitya yena shrayo hamapnuyam. Tell me one of these two, which should I do? Okay. Krishna does not answer the question. Why? Krishna has not answered the question which Arjuna gave in the third chapter, where he says, out of these two things, tell me which two things, Karma Yoga and Jnana Yoga, tell me what should I do? And Krishna has not answered the question. So Krishna here is saying why he has not answered the question. Remember, he has not answered the question at all, but here he is giving the reasons. Basically, he is saying, Arjuna, I am a teacher. My aim, my duty is not to give you commandments. My duty is to educate you. And therefore, once you have been educated, my duty is to ensure that you have the capacity to decide for yourself. Because you have a free will. And you must use that free will to decide. Therefore, etat asheshena vimrishya. Whatever I have said, please analyze. And remember that we are all in different stages of spiritual progress. For some people, Shravanam is important. For some people, karma is important. For some people, japa is important. For some people, upasana is important. For some people, nididhyasana is important. Therefore, you should analyze your current status in the floodlight of Krishna's teachings. And after that, after the thorough analysis, yatha ichhasi tatha kuru. So put it in a very, teaching language. The job as a teacher is not to give you masala dosha, but to teach you how to make your own masala dosha. And therefore, a teacher is truly successful only if the student can be independent of the teacher. As long as there is a dependence, the teacher has been a failure. And that's why Krishna says, I will not tell you what to do, but I have told you the consequences of everything. You have now to decide. So, in the light of what? In the light of my teaching. And therefore, the teacher's job is complete only when he is successful in turning the focus of the student away from himself, away from the teacher, to the Shastra, to the teaching. And that is why Vimrishai etat asheshena yathechhasi tatakur. So he says, you should think and you should do what you think is right based on my teaching. This much he says. Then Krishna is also fond of Arjuna, as we all know, right? So he wants to give a little bit more advice. Because he doesn't want Arjuna to feel that, Krishna is saying, okay, fine, I've done my job, I'm going home. You do what you want. So he says, Bhuyopi Maya Uchyamanam Shunu. Shankara. Even though I have finished, I am again telling you. Shankara says in this verse commentary. Even though I have completely finished my teaching, I am again telling you. Which means what? Once more, I am going to give you a summary in very, very brief. With that, we go to the 64th verse. Sarvaguhyatamam bhuyah
सर्वगुह्यतमं
sume paramam vachah
शृणु मे
शृणु
परमं
मे
वचः
परमं वचः
इष्टोऽसि मे दृढमिति
इष्टोऽसि मे
इष्टोऽसि
दृढमिति
मे दृढमिति
ततो वक्ष्यामि ते हितम्
ततो वक्ष्यामि ते
वक्ष्यामि
हितम्
ते हितम्
bhuyah shunu. Hey Arjuna, listen once again. Me paramam vachah, to all these highest words of mine, which are sarva guhyatamam, the most secret of all secrets, and iti asi dridam ishtame. Ishtame, you are very dear to me. Iti asi dridam. This is very certain. And therefore, tataha vakshyami hitam te. I will tell you what is good for you. Okay. See, the most secret of all secrets, Shruti is supposed to create this Atma Brahma Aikyam, right? And if this doesn't happen when you hear the words, then it happens because Jnana Yogyata is not there. And therefore, again and again, you have to listen. That is why, that is the idea here. Krishna knows that Arjuna is not completely true, is completely, 100% Jnana Yogi. He is not eligible for Jnanam at this point of time because it's still very Rajasic. And therefore, he is again and again repeating, which is a indication to us that if you have not understood once, don't walk away from Shastra. Listen again, listen again, listen again. Every time that you listen, your Jnana Yogyata will increase. And therefore, it says, Me Paramam Vachaha, my greatest important teaching. It's not my words which are important. It is the teaching of the Vedas, and therefore it is the greatest. And Bhuyaha Shunaho, listen to them again and again and again. Right? No, Shankara thinks that, all of us might wonder, why is Krishna summarizing so many times? So he writes here, Krishna is not repeating these words out of self-interest. Right? Why then? Ishtaha me. Because of affection for Arjuna. And that affection is dridam, unwavering affection. He says, Arjuna, you are really dear to me. And therefore, this is the intention with which I am repeating these words so that you do not take a wrong decision. Right? You might say that Krishna's attachment to Arjuna is possible. Okay. Now, so he says, Tena Vakshyami, I will tell you for that reason. Because you are dear to me, I will tell you. What will I tell you? What is there for your benefit? The highest sadhana for your benefit, I will tell you. And what is the highest sadhana? First Karma Yoga, then Jnana Yoga. Because that sadhana is the most beneficial among all the sadhanas which are beneficial. And what is that sadhana? Krishna says, listen to me. I am now giving you the final summary. Okay. So this is the final summary of Karma Yoga, the 65th verse. Manmana bhavamad-bhaktah
मन्मना भव मद्भक्तः
Adhyajimam namaskuru
मद्याजीमां नमस्कुरु
Ame vaishyasi satyam te
मामे वैश्यसि सत्यं ते
Pratijane priyosi me.
प्रतिजाने प्रियोऽसि मे
So manmana bhavaha. fix your mind upon me. Mad bhaktaha. Remember that we have come back to Karma Yoga. Okay. Fix your mind upon me. Mad bhaktava. Be my devotee. Mad yajihi. Be my worshipper. Mam namaskuru. Give namaskara to me. And then Satyam Pratijane. I will promise you. Mam eva eshyasi. You will reach me alone. And te asi me priyaha. You are very, very dear to me. Right? This is the final summary of Karma Yoga. In fact, if you take 65th verse and 66th verse alone and you understand them properly, it is considered to be the entire summary of the Gita, the two verses. So that is why Shankara says in Bhajagovinda, Geyam Gita Nama Sahasram, Deyam Shripati Rupa Jahasram. Everyone should study the Gita and chant the names. Right? Nama Sahasram. You should chant 1,000 names. So prayer and Gita study is the beginning of a religious life. And the one who is engaged in such a life, he will find that his life itself is transformed. What happens when you study scriptures? You begin to understand yourself. When you begin to understand who you are, you begin to understand what the world is. And when you understand both who you are and what the world is, then you understand Ishvara. So this verse, remember, is, if you look at verse number 34 of the 9th chapter, it's almost identical in ideas. Right? Manmana bhavaha means machitta bhavaha. Fix your mind upon me, which means keep Ishvara as the predominant goal in your life. And here, of course, it is Aneka Rupa Ishvara, which is Vishwarupa Ishvara. And therefore, this person is a karma yogi. And what will happen when you dedicate everything to Ishvara? Your ahankara and mamakara will get diluted. You will have other goals in your life, definitely, but you will ensure that all your other goals are ones which support this primary goal. And therefore, whatever secondary goals go against the primary one, we will drop. And when this happens, the seeker becomes a devotee. So, Mad Bhaktaha, he becomes a worshipper. And Madhyaji Bhavaha, he does yajna, right? Remember that all karma he does by way of karma yoga. And therefore, everything is an offering to Ishvara. When something is offered to Ishvara, it makes it a yajna. That's why I say Madhyaji Bhavaha. He will become one who does yajna. And for a karma yogi, therefore, this regular yajna, this regular worship is mandatory. So initially, when we start, we should have exclusive time for worshipping. And later on, as we get stronger in that, we should convert all the karma, every action into Ishvara Arpana. And when you do that, since the totality of actions is your life, your entire life will be converted into worship. And so Krishna says, Mam Namaskar. May you give your namaskara to me. And here Shankara adds, may you give namaskara to me only. Mama eva. Right? So here Shankara wants to say that there are people who say that Mam means Krishna alone, not Shiva, not Vishnu, not Devi, not any other god. And therefore here Shankara says that Mama means Vishwarupeshwara. All forms are included. Any Ishtadevata which you have is fine. Shiva, Vishnu, Devi. But there should be no dvesha against any other Ishtadevata. You should, all Ishtadevatas, you should see as part of Vishwarupa Ishvara. And therefore, you should, and if you talk about 7th chapter wordings, Artha Bhakti must be eliminated or diluted. Arthartha Bhakti must be diluted. All prayers, all pujas, which are centered around me and mine, aham mama, should be minimized. Remember that Vishwarupa Ishvara is also karma phaladata. And therefore, living in this manner as a karma yogi, surrendering all my actions to Ishvara, what happens? This Ishvara is sadhanam, instrument of action, sadhyam, the action itself, and prayojanam, the results of the action. Therefore, this Ishvara is in short, if you take sadhanam, sadhyam, prayojanam, it is the whole universe itself. Right? Therefore, the Ishvara is nothing but the whole universe. And again, note that this verse is dealing with the karma yogi. Therefore, the idea is Vishwarupa Dhyanam. There is no Jnanam over here. Ahankara will be diluted. But Ahankara can be removed only with Jnanam. And such a karma yogi, Mameva Yashasi, will finally reach me alone. Right? This non-separateness is not something new. It is already there. Mameva Yashasi means will reach me alone. It is not separate from me. But this non-separateness is nothing which is to be newly created. It is nothing which will happen now in time. It's an existing reality, but it has to be understood. It has to be discovered. Therefore, this reach me alone, Eshyasi, there is no travel involved. That reach me alone is by knowledge alone, by discovery alone. The discovery of my already existing non-separation, Aikyam with Paramatma is what we call moksha. And Krishna says, Satyam Pratijanite. I promise you that. This is a promise from me. I truly promise you. In respect of this, what happens? Because of this karma, you will get Chitta Shuddhi. Because of Chitta Shuddhi, you will get Jnanam. Because of Jnanam, you will get moksha. This is the promise which Krishna makes at this stage to Arjuna. Right? But this promise need not really be given. Right? Because the Lord you can never miss. And why? Because he says to himself, you are Priya, te asi me Priya, you are dear to me, Arjuna. You can never miss me at all. There will be moksha definitely at the end of your life. So here Shankara adds, what is it that you have to extract from Krishna's message to Arjuna? He says, understand the Lord has given a promise and the Lord will always fulfill his promise. Understand that moksha is necessarily the result of karma yoga and upasana yoga, which will give you chitta shuddhi, which will lead you to jnana yoga, which will lead you to moksha. So surrender to the Lord. This should be your aim. Because right now, karma yoga, Arjuna is a karma yogi. He is in the triangular format. Right? This verse is relevant only for a person who needs Ishvara as a support, which is a karma yogi. So with this, we'll stop for today. The next class, we will take up 1866, which is the summary of Jnana Yoga. That is followed by a very long Bhashyam by Shankara, which captures the entire gamut of the Gita as well as all the Vedas. So with this, I'll stop. Any questions?
Acharyaji, the shlok which we did right now is almost the same as Mayeva Mana Adatsva Mayi Buddhi Niveshaya Nivasishyasi Mayeva.
Yeah. You'll find that many slokas, the idea is the same. Because ultimately the teaching is only one. It has to be given through various ideas, various examples, various words. When you look at all the Upanishads also, you'll find the same thing there. Om Purnamadav Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vasishyate Om Shanti 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 Om Tat Sat, Om Namah
Om
Shivaya.
Namah
Thank you for your
Shivaya.
patience.
Thank you, Acharya ji.
Thank you,
Thank
Acharya
you.
ji.